afternoon. Happy early Thanksgiving to a lot of you. And I'm really here today to kind of help you think through your 2021. What does it take now to start getting 2021 to be your best year ever? And to do that, I know some of you are new to Atticus, so I'm going to lay down some groundwork just to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. Our company is probably the largest in the United States when it comes to doing nothing but consulting and advising lawyers on growth issues. So really, at the end of the day, we help great attorneys build great law practices. And great is really up to you, what great looks like to you, how you want to serve your clients, how you want to serve your community is really your definition of what greatness looks like. And our job is to help you do that. What we do is we work with multiple different attorneys and groups. So we have great relationships with bar associations, Illinois and Ohio, for example. Terrific relationship with private associations that are companies like Elder Counsel and Wealth Counsel. And we work with some large law firms that may have quite a few hundred employees and work with their leadership teams. And then a lot of our clients we work with from cradle to grave, from the time they decide to start their practice to the time they sell their practice. But the bulk of our clients are solo and small firm attorneys who get up every day and work hard at trying to take great care of their clients, great care of their families. And we provide our services multiple ways. Everything from live stream events, such as the Atticus webinar that we're doing today on the Atticus Advantage webinar series. We also do for our clients something called the Practice Growth series, which is client specific. And then we also do a roundtable that are really rainmaking roundtables, how to be better at rainmaking and developing business. Workshops we do, and this year we're coming out with our first virtual workshop on double your revenue. We also have virtual workshops on how to build your law firm for sale, solo and small firm foundations for growth. Probably the heart and soul of what we do, though, is the Practice Growth program. That's probably the predominant program that helps a lot of lawyers build great practices. And we have done some really great things this year that I'm very excited about. We're rolling out a new cash flow book, which should be coming out by the end of the year. So we're seeing a lot of wonderful content flowing out from the Atticus community. And really, all of this is designed to help you have a great life and take more time off, make more money, be happier, and take better care of your clients. So how do you participate today? It's really up to you. My suggestion, have pen and paper ready. Take some notes. Towards the end, we'll have the opportunity to chat if you want to. You can unmute yourself and ask me questions. During the presentation, I'm probably not going to interact too much with chats being posted. Susan's going to look at those. So if something gets posted, Susan will interrupt me if I'm going down a rabbit trail or something like that as well. But really today is going to be about helping you first and foremost think about 2021. We'll have some practical suggestions that are kind of basic, intermediate, and advanced on some things that you can do to get ready, and some brainstorming thoughts about 2021. Now, whenever I think about 2021, I want to make sure that I emphasize that I want you to think more about your business skills for driving the growth of your business, not your legal skills. And this is probably the biggest thing I had to learn as a lawyer, is that when I first started practicing, I thought if I could draft a trust better, or if I could argue a motion better, or if I could draft a complaint better, or write a nastier email, whatever it may be, that it would actually drive my business. It's not really the case. My experience is really, it requires two things to make a very profitable practice. First, good legal skills, not amazing legal skills, believe it or not, just good legal skills. And then good business skills. Once again, not amazing business skills, just good. And so if you combine these two things, you can have a very profitable practice. Now, if you're great at the legal skills and good at the business skills, it will still be a very profitable practice. But if you're great at the legal skills and great at the business skills, it's a fantastically profitable practice. So both of these skills have to kind of grow over time. So when you look at this, sometimes it's hard as a lawyer to think, wow, what I need to do is just take more CLE. And that's not the case. Really, the case is to think about how to balance these skills to become better on the business side as well as the legal technical side. Now, one of the ways we like to look at this is really from the perspective of what we call the foundations or the cornerstones of growth. If you're trying to grow your practice, the first thing that we have to have you do is look at how to improve your time management skills. How do we improve your time management skills so you're more effective, not just efficient, but effective? So let me give you an example. You can sit there and have your iPhone and be texting and emailing people while we're talking, and multitasking, drafting, and maybe doing some Christmas and holiday shopping at the same time. And you're trying to do that to be efficient, but it may not be the most effective use of your time. And sometimes as lawyers, we get efficient confused with effective. Effective is really where we're impactful. Efficient is where we're trying to be just that. We're saving time, money, and effort. But really, effectiveness is what most people want, but they get the two confused. So when we look at this, when we start to wrestle with time management, I want you to say, am I being efficient or am I being effective? What am I doing here? 2, client development. And this is probably one of the other things I had to learn when I was building my practice, is client development is in itself a skill. Some people are freakishly good at it. They're just people. Mark Powers, the founder of our company, my partner, people person. He loved people. Me, not so much. I was teased the other day that I needed to get empathy lessons, like how to be more empathetic. So that's a whole other webinar, but the purpose of looking at this is trying to figure out how do you become more skilled at getting the right clients at the right price point or the right case point that makes you feel comfortable or happy or empowered and really grow your practice in 2021. And it's a skill. 3 is building a great team. And it's one of the things Susan, who's pitch hitting for Mike Wells today, has done very well for us, which has really helped us on the hiring process with our clients. So a lot of our clients have access to her services, which are building a great team, which is really how do you go out and find great people. And if you're getting the first 2 skills, managing your time effectively, you're getting great cases in the door, then you have to figure out how to get the work out the door. And to get the work out the door, you need great people. And it's really kind of a learned skill. You kind of start to hire dependable people, then you hire competent people, then you hire above average, then you hire great, then you learn how to hire all-stars. And a team of all-stars is radically different than a team of dependable people. And so as a lawyer, you have to learn that business skill. How do I start to recruit, develop, and build a team of all-stars? And then cash flow and profitability, understanding how to price your services, how to manage your case. If it's a contingency fee firm, how do you cut time on desk so you improve profitability, how to select cases. There's so many different things. But as you're doing this, I want you to think about how do these business skills help you evolve to support your growth. And there's 3 stages I see most lawyers go through. Stage 1 is you learn to manage yourself. You become more effective and efficient in managing your own time. Then as you grow your practice, you start to become more effective and efficient at managing your team. Then as your practice grows, you start to experience pain in managing. And then you realize that as an owner, you can only manage so many people. And then you move to the next level, which is learning how to manage your managers. And that's where you see the lawyers have tremendous growth in revenue and tremendous growth in time off. So these are management skills, and that's the thing you got to get in your head. It's a management skill. They don't teach that to us in law school. It's something we learn out in the real world. And that's really where you, quite frankly, see most of your growth. So with all that being said, though, the most important place to start is your calendar and your own time management. So if you're looking at, okay, Steve, those are great ideas, those are great suggestions, and at the end of today's webinar, we're going to have even more suggestions. What do I do with all that? Here's the problem. If your calendar looks like this little jelly bean jar on your screen, and if you're can just check the screen so you can see the visual real quick, it might be helpful. If you're trying to jam another thing to do in your day, you're going to be unsuccessful in implementing any more change in your life. And this is one of the things that you have to deal with as a lawyer. You're getting constant interruptions, constant emails, you get constant one quick question from clients, staff interrupts you. But if you don't learn how to shift your thinking and shift how you manage your focus and shift how you manage your time, you're not going to be able to make any of the changes. To grow your practice, you actually have to reduce your to-do list and move away from efficiency to effectiveness. You have to have protected time in your calendar now that allow you to work on the most critical projects. And those critical projects have to have wind in their sails. And the wind in their sails really come from three things. Number one, a compelling reason. What's your why? Why are you making this change? Why is this change so important to you? Two, accountability. Without accountability and follow-up, most change will not occur. And three, coaching and guidance. Coaching, what should I do? Why should I do it this way? And support in implementing those changes. So with that being said, as we get ready to look at your planning for 2021, I want you to think about and start to assess or diagnostically think about how are you doing on those four critical skills? How are you doing on your effectiveness for your own time management? If you're working weekends, checking email first thing in the morning may not be that effective. It may look efficient, but not effective. If you're not really happy with your team, then you can say, yeah, Steve, I think you might have a point. I got to really work on skills to build my great team. And if you're like going, oh God, if that phone rings and it's that client asking for me again and it makes my stomach churn, you may not be doing a great job on client development either. And if at the end of the year you go, my God, I worked so hard and I'm not making what I should, then you have a cash flow and profitability problem. So you have to kind of tell the truth. And one of the most important things there is in life is to tell the truth about where you're at with your practice. Because once you start to tell the truth, then you start to make progress. And so you may have to kind of tell the truth. And none of us really like to tell the truth about where we're at and what we're doing, because sometimes the truth hurts. So, it's sometimes painful. So with that being said, I just want you to consider that to actually move your practice forward, it's going to be more about the business skills that you bring to bear for 2021 than anything else. So let's talk about 2021. So stage one of this, I like to call the ramp up. And the ramp up consists of a couple different things. And what I'd like you to do is use the rest of this year, from this date forward, as the ramp up period. And just kind of say, okay, I'm going to ramp up the rest of the year, and I'm going to ramp up the rest of the year to try and create momentum for 2021. And there's really four critical steps to help you build your ramp up. Number one, what's your mindset? And we'll talk about that in a minute. COVID has impacted how a lot of people think about the future. Two, some suggestions on how to improve your time management. Three, some thoughts around how to think about marketing for your best cases. And perhaps if we have time, we'll talk about three messes and things that you can perhaps clean up in the ramp up period. So here we go. Let's talk a little bit about what's your mindset. So what is your mindset right now? Where's your mindset at? And with COVID, we really are seeing three types of mindsets that lawyers are dealing with. Number one, I'm kind of recovering. I'm trying to recover from everything that's happened. My state's going through lockdown again. I don't know what to do. And you're in a reactive mode. You're kind of waiting to see what happens. And we see a lot of lawyers there. A lot of lawyers are kind of hanging out. I'm going to wait to see what happens, which is reactive. Totally fine, but it's reactive. Two, there's a lot of lawyers that are hunkering down, and I say they're waiting for the all clear signal. When do I get the all clear signal? When can I come out and it's safe? Will somebody from Washington tell me it's all okay and I can come out? The third is the most interesting area, and this is a minority. We're seeing a lot of lawyers going, while the other lawyers are reactively waiting for recovery and the other lawyers are waiting for the all clear signal, I think I have an opportunity to take a lot of market share. And so you have to take a moment and think about right now, what is my mindset? Where's my mindset? Where is my thinking? Where's my head at right now? So if you're listening to this live and you have the opportunity to do so, I'm gonna ask you just to write something down for me. I'd like you to write down either A, I'm in recovery, and why. 2, I'm waiting for the all clear sign and why you think you're waiting for the all clear sign. And 3 being I'm focused on the future and where you're leading your practice and why. The why is important. So just take a moment and write where you're at and why. Okay. While you start to wrap that up, I'm going to move on to time management focus. So to really get ahead for 2021, and I talked about this in the 4 business skills, you have to think about how do you make room in your calendar? How do you make room to get ahead? So here are probably the most critical time management strategy we're going to talk about today. It sounds really simple. It sounds painfully simple, and it's incredibly simple. It's so simple you won't do it. And that's one of the challenges that we have as lawyers. We're, from an intellectual perspective, we're in the top 2% of the population as far as complex problem solvers. So we're really clever about thinking about things, but we're really impaired when it comes to doing things. And it's one of the reasons that we have so many struggles as business owners. So if you're thinking about this, what I want you to do is say, okay, I'm going to try what Steve's recommending here. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is number 1, plan your day. And I don't care if you're an existing Atticus client and you use the Migrate Life Planner that we use with our clients, or if you turn around and break out the classic yellow legal pad. I don't care, it's up to you. But I want you to take a few minutes and plan your day. And what I want you to do is think about what are the 3 most important things that you have to do today and write those out. Now, why is that so critical? Because as a lawyer, your job is to move things forward. And it may be a case, it may be a referral project, it may be whatever. But your job is to really move these things forward. But you have built a team around you and you built resources around you that input a lot of information. So instead of being trapped by what your calendar tells you to do, which most of us are, we're calendar driven, not cash flow driven. What I want you to do is just spend 5 minutes to 15 minutes writing out the 3 most important things. Now, the key thing is to write it out. And like I said, I don't care if you write number 1, do this, number 2, do this, number 3, do this, and you're done in 3 minutes. But the most important thing I want you to do is think everything that you're responsible for that day, everything you want to get accomplished for that day, and you pick your top 3. Say, what are the 3 most important? Now, this strategy comes from Peter Drucker, who wrote a fantastic book, probably about in the 60s, called The Effective Executive. And Drucker said, if you're really trying to move an enterprise forward, you probably can get about 3 things done in a day. And I think that rule of thumb really applies for us as lawyers, because we're supporting our team, we're supporting our clients, and about half of our day is spent responding and managing things that are coming towards us. And really, if we think about it, if I can get you to move 3 things a day forward versus responding, you're going to have a pretty good day. The reason I want you to write those down is that you may have a list of 55 things to do, but the most important thing for you to do is really decide what are the 3 most important and move those. So at the end of the day, if you can get those 3 most important things to do, you'll start to get a sense of accomplishment, a sense of confidence that you can still move things forward, even though when things are very, very crazy around you. So this is the difference between being focus driven and calendar driven. Even if you look on your calendar and go, wow, I'm going to attend the Atticus Advantage webinar today, I'm going to talk to another client after that, and I'm gonna make a referral call. That's terrific if those are on your calendar. But really what I want you to do is say, what are the 3 most important things, and write those out. My experience is it really takes maybe 15 minutes. Sometimes it may take 30 minutes to align on the 3 most important, depending on everything that you've got in front of you. So I suggest you do that every day, and what it does is it engages the prefrontal cortex. It allows you to get clarity, and at the end of the day, it starts to build momentum. You have confidence, and if you do 3 things a day for 5 days, you've got 15 really important things accomplished. And at the end of the week, you'll actually feel good about what you can do rather than going home and going, my God, I got nothing done this week. It's a really important distinction, really important distinction. And like I said, I don't care whether you use our paper organizer, a Post-it note, or a napkin or paper towel. I don't care. I just want you to write something down. And I think the writing is absolutely critical. Number two, strategy two, is using an approach that is making your day incredibly focused, and that's pretending that today is the last day that you're going to have before you go on vacation. So some people are going to take the Thanksgiving holiday off. Some people are going to take the end of the, during December, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate off. But you have X many days left in the end of the year. Let's just say you got about 20 days left in the end of the year. So when you go into the morning, imagine that you're getting ready to leave your practice for a significant period of time for a vacation, time away from town. And if you're going to do that, we're going to recommend two strategies. Number one is what we call the power hour. And the power hour is where you isolate yourself from all electronics, email, phone calls, etc., and tell your team that you're going to work on one thing for the next hour for them not to interrupt you. Pull everything that you need together. Don't respond to email, don't respond to text, don't respond to phone calls, just crank for 1 hour on whatever that important project is or case is. Two, use a timer. And this is one of the techniques that we really have talked to a lot of our clients about, and it is the use of working in time sprints. And I'll kind of talk a little bit more about with time management strategy 3 because it's built in there and it sounds a little bit better when I explain it with this particular strategy. So how you do that is that you basically close your door, close your email, turn off your phone, and then just set a timer. And it could be a timer on your phone. It could be a timer on your watch. A lot of our clients use kitchen timers and just set the timer for 15, 25 minutes, whatever the case may be, and work for a 15 to 25 minute sprint and then take a 5-minute break and then come back and work. Now, for those of you that have read a lot about time management, this technique is called the Pomodoro technique, and it's really designed to help you work in focused sprints so you don't get fatigued. And I promise you, I've been using this technique for 20 years. It's going to be fine if you do this. Facebook will be okay, your listservs, your clients, everybody will be fine. The world will still be there after you work for a 15 to 25 minute sprint. I always joke with my wife, I said I can get any problem done working 15 minutes at a time. When I try and get complex projects done, I don't seem to get them done until I break them out into 15-minute sprints. It seems to work really well for me. So I want to share that strategy with you because I really think that these 3 strategies are fantastic, good basic strategies that you can put in place to start to ramp up your momentum for 2021. That's why I selected these 3. Now let's move up to the next ramp up case, which is the best cases. If you're calendar driven, you don't think this way. And most lawyers are calendar driven. We just look at what's on the calendar and we do that. Our staff looks what's on the calendar and do this. And this is one of the reasons we have so many cash flow problems. So what I'm going to do is suggest that you take at the end of today's webinar about 15 minutes and write out your 10 best cases and rank them by dollar value, not by whether you like the client or not, but by dollar value. And say, what are the 10 best cases I have in my inventory right now, and rank them by dollar value. Highest dollar first, lowest dollar last. And I'm going to suggest you then take that and share it with your team, and then work on sprints to move these cases done and get them closed or billed or collected, whatever you need to do. And my experience is that if you meet with your team every day on these top 10 cases and celebrate with them that, hey, look, we got this much done on this case, we got this much done on that case, we got this much done on this case, it builds momentum. It builds momentum for them, it builds momentum for you, but it also starts to change the culture of your firm where you start to be more cash flow driven, not calendar driven. So your team starts to think, where are the biggest dollars at and how do we collect those dollars so that we can improve the firm's cash flow. So those of you that have been with Atticus is a concept that we teach called the cash flow focuser. And the idea behind this is to change the whole culture so that your firm is really taking a very proactive approach to focusing on the big cases, focusing on the cash, and moving the work together quickly and effectively. Next one is the ramp up, 3 messes. Now, these are probably the 3 areas that I see lawyers hide out and deal with messes the most. Number 1 is your office. And when I mean your office, I mean your desk, your physical space, whatever it is that you work in, whether it's at home or at, at your firm, whatever the case may be. But having a messy office is a real drainer, and it's also a distractor. So it emotionally drains you because you look around and go, oh my God, I haven't done that, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, and you just drains your confidence. And it's also a distractor because you're looking around. So my suggestion is that you spend somewhere between 15 minutes to a couple hours, whatever it takes, to get your office at least 80% clean. If you can, 100% clean, to the point where everything's put away, all the files are put away, your desk is clear, and you can focus. And my experience is the lawyers that use this approach, we call it the clean office solution in the practice growth program, that's what we reference it as, usually have a huge breakthrough in their productivity because they're not spending 3 to 4 times a day feeling drained, depleted, and distracted. If you have a clean office, you're able to come in, do what you have to do, and then put that work away. There's a whole series of habits around that that can make a significant difference to your productivity. 2, your email inbox. And this is something we have talked about in the past on Atticus Advantage webinars, but the problem with a lot of lawyers, and I fell into this trap myself, is that sometimes we use our office and our email inbox, the to-do list. And that's a sign that we're being very reactive. We don't take the information, we don't manage it, and we don't process it so it's organized in our case management system or organized appropriately. And instead, we just have this cumulative growing to-do list. I think the record I heard was a lawyer had 17,000 unopened emails in her inbox, and she kept them that way to remind her to do things. Look, I don't care who you are, you can't manage 17,000 reminders. That's just crazy. So you have to think about how do you get your inbox back to 0 and your office clean. And 3 is your actual physical inbox. Look, most of us as lawyers are readers, and we subscribe to multiple magazines. I have right now on my desk, which I'm looking forward to reading today, the Real Property and Trust action line for the state of Florida. I'll probably look at that and read it. And then when I'm done reading it, I'm going to take my favorite articles, if there are any, pull them out, scan them, and save them to OneNote, and then discard the magazine. I'm going to encourage you to look at your current inbox. If your inbox is probably more than 6 months old, you're not going to read them anyhow. Like if it's a 6-month-old worth of magazines, periodicals, and stuff that you've been planning on reading, just take that 6 months and throw it out. Then take the 6 months left and triage what you think is really important, flip through those articles, rip out the articles you want to read, give it to your assistant or whomever, and scan those articles so you can read them the next time you're on an airplane, the next time you have a window to wait, the next time you're on a boring webinar, whatever the case may be, but get that inbox to being clean. Now, my experience is when I get a lawyer that has a clean email inbox, a clean physical inbox, and a clean desk, their jump in productivity is incredible because they have no draining reminders, they have no distractions, and they're able to get very, very focused. And the cleaning up of that gives such a surge of energy. So that's the ramp up phase. That's the ramp up phase. So we walked through a time management, 3 time management strategies. We talked about mindset. We talked about ramping up with cleaning up 3 messes. Let's talk about 2021 from a big picture and talk about how you can get a grip and get a plan for 2021. So what I'm going to suggest you do again is pull out that pencil or pen, and I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. And the question is, What are 3 ways that you are thinking about doing to develop new clients? And most lawyers I know and I've talked to have been thinking for a considerable period of time about how to get new clients in the door. So what I'm going to do is ask you to just handwrite, and I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to do it. Just handwrite 3 ways that you've been thinking about getting new clients in the door that you haven't taken action on. And then I'll give you some suggestions around ours, but go ahead and just take a moment. If you're not writing, you should be writing. Thinking will not get this done. Writing will get it done. All right, great. So here's some client development ideas. Some of these are pretty basic from the perspective that you're going to look at them and go, wow, that doesn't involve a lot of money. It involves a little bit of time. That's so simple and so easy. I don't think I'm going to do it because it seems so basic. So I'm just going to encourage you to look at this from the perspective that you're going to try and make 2021 the best year ever. You're trying to have an impactful 2021. We're working with 600 law firms across the US. We're seeing what's working and what's not working in a time of a great uncertainty, a little political upheaval, and stress around COVID-19. So I'm going to give you some ideas that we know that are being tested and true in their effectiveness with other practices. So here's the first one. Strategy number 1, getting referrals in the door. And you really have to understand, actually you don't have to, excuse me. One of the reasons we at Atticus love referrals is that it's easy to get them in the door. They make you feel good. Your client acquisition costs are smaller, if not minimal. And once you develop a great referral source, it works like an annuity. It keeps sending you other great referrals. The thing to understand is that referral marketing right now is much more problematic than ever before because COVID in certain jurisdictions like California, Michigan, New York, going out and having a face-to-face meeting with referral sources is very hard to do. So you really have to think about this differently. How do you get connected with people? When you're in a high stress environment like today, and you add an exhaustion, you're going to see people with a lower attention span. They're burned out, they're worn out, they're stressed, they're not sure what to do. And as a result of that, you must, to grow your referrals and get more referrals, you must take on the responsibility to proactively connect with them. Now, since you can't do face-to-face, you're going to have to either do it something like a webinar, a Zoom meeting, or phone, Microsoft Teams, whatever your preferred virtual connection device is, use. Now, I was talking to another lawyer this morning, and she's down in Miami, and she's thinking about how does she reinvigorate her marketing post COVID. And she has been getting a lot of business referred in, but most of that business has been referred in reactively. She hasn't set aside time to proactively grow the business. So my recommendation to her, as well as my recommendation to you, is set aside an hour a day, just an hour. And that hour a day, proactively pick up the phone and connect with your best referral sources. Now, if you don't know what your best referral sources are, then I'm going to suggest that you first take a few moments and write down who you think your 10 best referral sources are. Now, don't do it from the perspective of who you think they are. Actually, what I want you to do is go look at the best 10 cases you've gotten and look who referred them in and where you've got those cases. So my experience is that sometimes you think somebody's a good referral source. It's not until you actually do the analysis that you realize other people are really your good referral sources. So really getting clear on who the actual, who your actual great referral sources are is where you got to start. My suggestion though is really to set aside time daily to do this, an hour a day. And most of us will be thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next week, or I'll do it the week after next. And this is where we get in trouble. This is kind of like exercise. If you say I'm going to lose 20 pounds, you're not going to do that all in one day. If you're trying to get 20 referrals, you're not going to get that just by making one phone call. It's a compounded growth strategy. So what I want you to do is say, okay, my goal is to get more referrals in the door. I'm going to dedicate, an hour a day to reach out proactively to my past referral sources and potentially new ones to start developing those referral relationships. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is once you develop leads or referral relationships, you got to stay in touch with them. And a lot of this depends on what your marketing approach is. And we always say, keep dripping, keep communicating, keep top of mind awareness in front, use your top of mind awareness approach and stay in front of them. Now, the two major strategies here is think, number one, what would be relevant content? What's relevant to them? Why do they want to know this? And it depends on your practice area. It depends what you're trying to do. It depends on how you're trying to connect to people. But think about the multiple media distribution channels. If it's a prospect and referral source, you know them, you can email them. If it's somebody that you think you can mail to or somebody that you think you can potentially prospect to, print may work. There's a lot of studies showing that print media is doing a fantastic job right now of connecting with people. And then of course, all the different social media outlets that you have between LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. One of the things that fascinated me is that a lot of lawyers are doing very, very well right now is virtual lunch and learns. And the virtual lunch and learns are terrific because you can also do a kind of an on-demand strategy later. So you can teach something like right now, when this is being recorded, it's November 2021, November 19th, 2021. And one of the things I'm recommending to lawyers that do estate planning and elder law is to do webinars on how the Biden estate plan, or excuse me, how the Biden tax plan may impact their clients in what they can do now to start to prepare for that tax plan. Now, the purpose of that is not necessarily to do aggressive planning as much as it is to get a reason to connect with your clients. So you want to think about what can you do that allows you to connect with your clients at this point in time and literally do a virtual lunch and learn. So they have to bring their lunch and you have to bring the presentation. You can do it via webinar, once again, via Zoom, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. But we're seeing a lot of lawyers having fantastic years this year. And one of the techniques that they're using is just virtual lunch and learns to clients and referral sources. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, it's a terrific way of just getting in touch and connecting with people. And then the next one is client referrals. The first example I used was really aimed at professional referrals and professional colleagues, people that know you, know about you, that refer your work. What I'd like you to think about now is clients. And a lot of lawyers do have a client community. And what they don't do is pay attention to how to get referrals from that client community. So this could be existing clients or past clients. I'm not too biased one way or the other. But if you've kept a good list of past clients, you should be able to use 3 different strategies to connect with them. Number one is what we call the 2x10 strategy. And this is where either you or people on your team reach out to past clients and check on them. And we say 2 phone calls by 10 a.m. That's hence the 2x10. So you have 2 contacts by 10 with past clients. And it could be something as simple as saying, hey, I just want to reach out to see how you're doing. If you're a PI lawyer, saying, hey, it's been a couple of years. I know that we helped you resolve that case. How's the injury doing? How's the family? How are you? And, in the call with just saying, hey, just want to let you know I appreciate you, the client. If I could ever be of service to you again, don't hesitate to call me. And if you have any friends or family that have any accidents or whatever the type of practice you have, I'd be honored to help them if they're a great person like you were. And so you can think about how do you want to make an ask at the end of that call. My experience is most lawyers don't really focus on their past clients because they're just so busy focused on the new clients. So they don't look at them as a point for getting good referrals. Two, once again, the virtual lunch and learn. Virtual lunch and learn to past clients is a no-brainer. And then I always kind of use this example, any type of new laws that you think will be impacting your clients is a no-brainer marketing strategy that you could do. And at the end of these, just do an ask, an ask for referrals, an ask for upgrading their work, an ask for reviewing their work, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with your client, your type of practice. Terrific. Now, the next thing is to look at what to do now. So we went through a lot of different things, and we won't have time to do it today, but I'm going to ask that at the end of the webinar that you sit down and you write out the 10 most important action steps you're going to take out of today's conversation. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. I can't come to your office. I can't say email it to me because you're not part of the Atticus community. You're not a client per se. So all I can tell you is to take maybe 15, 20 minutes and write out your 10 most important ideas or 10 most important actions that you'd like to put in place to make 2021 a fantastic year. And this is really up to you. If you want to have the year that you want to have, take the time to do the planning. If you don't put the ideas in writing, more than likely, most of the thinking that you're going to do won't come into fruition. Now, after you're done doing that, the question becomes, what support do you have to implement those ideas? You may remember at the beginning of today's webinar, I talked about 3 critical elements to implement change and to really kind of put momentum and sales behind your ideas. Number 1 is a why. What's your compelling reason? Why are you doing this? 2 is what's your accountability and follow-up? And 3, what's the strategy and coaching behind that? So when you look at this, you've got to make a decision, what's your plan to implement your ideas? What's your plan to implement? Unfortunately, as lawyers, we've kind of learned to be like lone rangers. We don't really work well with other people. This is why so many lawyers are solo practitioners. We haven't quite learned to play well with others. We're incredibly obsessively independent. We enjoy our autonomy so much. We want to practice our own way. And consequently, we're very hard to partner with. We can find that working alone is a lot easier because it's a lot less complex. So we have a lot of lawyers that really are lone rangers. The question is, if you're a lone ranger, you may want to say, I want to actually be a lone ranger inside a group of Navy SEALs. That might be more fun. Than I'm probably better off being a team with people. Now, I'm not saying you join a firm, but you may be considering doing something like joining our practice growth program, where you have other like-minded lawyers that are looking to take their practice to the next level. You don't necessarily have to, quote, join each other as far as joining a firm, but you can join each other with the same mindset and the same approach. Now, if you're wondering what does the next practice growth program looks like and what are the qualifications, here are the qualifications. And I just want to spend a minute to talk about this and talk about how we're handling this in the time of COVID. Number 1, we want to know you make at least 100 grand a year in net income. Why? Because we want to know that you know how to do that. That is a skill. A lot of lawyers haven't figured that skill out. And if you're not making at least 100 grand in net income, you might be missing some of the basic business skills that allow you to grow. And so we want to know that you have at least that basic skill. 2, I want to know that you have at least 1 staff member. My experience is that lawyers who don't know how to delegate never can delegate, and consequently they just kind of cap out. Their income stays about the same thing and they never really grow beyond a certain level. They practice the same way for 2 to 3 decades, and they make a good living but nothing extraordinary, but they're happy that way. Totally cool. Your practice, your life, totally cool. However, if you're like, no, my God, Steve, I'm working my butt off. This is a stupid idea. I mean, I'm worth $300 an hour or $400 an hour, and I'm scanning documents, I'm scheduling clients, I'm doing follow-up calls, I'm ordering copy, I'm making coffee, whatever it is that you're doing. You have to really realize that you're paying someone $300 an hour to do something that you can pay somebody $15 an hour for. And that's really where the leverage comes in. A lot of lawyers never wrap their brain around it. We just don't. Now, the Practice Growth Program has 5 challenges. Challenge number 1. In the first year, we want you to increase your gross revenues by at least 30%. 2, we want you to reduce your time in the practice by 25%. And we really like by the end of 1 year, you to have at least consistently getting weekends off plus 2 additional days off. And that means no email, no phone call during that time off. 3, we like to see your average revenue per case go up by 20%, which is pretty impressive. If you can increase the gross, increase your net profitability, and decrease your time, you're going to see a significant increase in income and a greater quality of life to you, which usually means a greater level of creativity and a greater level of effectiveness. 3 is to implement the 4 cornerstone skills that we talked about: time management, cash flow profitability, building a great team, and client development. Those 4 are just critical. So as you go through that, you're challenged with how to implement that. And then a plan. By the end of at least 1 year, you double your revenue. I'd like you to see you have a plan to do that. Now, in this time of COVID, we're doing this all via live stream. Our clients are meeting every 45 days for a half a day. It eliminates any need of travel. It eliminates a lot of the risk for traveling today. It eliminates a lot of complexity. In my case, I have an 87-year-old father. Traveling makes me nervous because, I'm one of the caregivers for my dad, and the last thing I want to do is pick something up and give it to him. That would be a nightmare. So the great thing about this, the live stream basically is in taking the best of the classic approach, which is the focused on-site learning environment, working with our best coaches, learning with collaborative professionals in a learning environment, in this case via Zoom, and really trying to get the benefit of greater flexibility, greater convenience, more frequent connections, and quite frankly, saving money. In fact, I think I did the math on this, and somebody else, you guys can check me on it, and I'll talk about the pricing. I think if you actually calculate the amount of time that you would spend in airplanes and calculate your hotel costs, and you think about what that would be for 1 year, and you total it up, that's savings of not traveling and not spending money on hotels and not spending money on airlines will actually probably pay for the program. Because I figured it out. I was like, wow, for the amount of time you can do for travel, the amount of time for hotels, the amount of time being out of the office, the program almost pays for itself. So what do you get with this? Number 1, you still get the same first-class Atticus coaching experience. We have some fantastic adjunct practice advisors. You get even more access to the resources, and you get more access to grow your practice quicker and more effectively. We have on the Atticus Advantage, Atticus testimonials. If you want to check that out, you can totally do that and check out the testimonials. What I want to do is talk about the start dates, and I have a special offer for those of you that's hung with me towards the end of the program today. So the start dates are December 10th, so right around the corner, the new program starts. And we have one just for estate planning lawyers. We're partnering with Wealth Counsel, and we're starting an estate planners only live streaming program starting until January 13th. And how do you get started? Well, the first thing you want to do is invest in what we call a practice growth diagnostic. And the practice growth diagnostic, it allows you to go through the focus disc advantage, which is really trying to figure out what is the element of your personality that allows you to drive growth in your firm the most, and the disc allows us to do that. Assess where you're at with the 4 foundations of practice growth. Have the person that does the call give you some of their feedback, and really start with 3 most important actions out of that. Your investment's $295, and really what I'm doing today is if you're interested in getting started, I've got an offer for you. And this is kind of my special end of the year deal. I had to negotiate with a few people to get this done. For the first 20 of you that take this up on the Practice Growth Diagnostic, we're going to include the Great Rainmakers book. So how good attorneys become great rainmakers. However, I've got something even better. I got something even better for those of you that stay with me to the end. The first 20 that basically take advantage of the Practice Growth Diagnostic, it's a Rainmaker book. But for 10 of you that after doing your diagnostic and commit to doing the Practice Growth program, I'll waive the $1,000 upfront down payment for you. Because if you're willing to invest in your practice in 2021, I'm willing to invest in your practice by taking $1,000 off the upfront key investment for your program. Now, that's really up for you to check it out, see if it works for you. I'm going to keep that offer for you on the table till December 31st at 5 p.m. After that, we go back to our standard pricing. If you're interested in that, protect your seat. Email us at grow@atticusadvantage.com, or if you're worried about someone jumping ahead of you, what you want to do is go to our website and click Get Started Here, and you can schedule with either Denise or Daniel a Practice Growth Diagnostic, and they can help you decide what program is the best fit for you. And once again, all of our programs are 100% money back guaranteed. There's no question about it. If you don't think anything's worth it, just let us know. We refund your money, no big deal. And my suggestion though is just be careful. Don't fall into the trap of the think about it. And this is probably the biggest challenge that we have with a lot of lawyers. We want to think about it. We want to eliminate any last risk that might be in front of us. We want to get to a point where we feel really confident that this is a no-brainer. And consequently, we may spend 1 to 2 to 3 years thinking about something, and that's where we get in trouble. Thinking doesn't get anything done. Doing's where the learning's at. And I can't say that enough. Doing is where the learning is. Thinking doesn't move anything forward. It feels better, but it's intellectual procrastination. It doesn't really move anything forward. So just don't fall for the think about it trap. Take action, and that would be my suggestion. 2 last things. If you want to get more of our free programs or more information from us, we put up a lot of content on our Atticus YouTube channel, and you go to Atticus YouTube, click subscribe, and every time we post something, you'll be notified. And of course, you can follow us on any of the social media sites that are, of course, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And so with that, I'm just going to see if there's any questions towards the end. Susan, I'm going to ask you to unmute to see if anyone has any questions. You can either...
Okay. Steve, we haven't had any questions in the chat or question box. And if anyone has a question, if you'd like to raise your hand, I can unmute you so you can talk to Steve. No takers so far.
Okay, that's good. We'll just give about 30 seconds. So if you don't unmute, that's totally fine. And if you don't have any questions, that's great. It's rare for me to do a perfect presentation and have no questions. I usually need some form of clarification questions. So with that, Susan, I don't think we've got any questions. I don't see anyone unmuting on my end. So with that, let's just call it for today. I want to thank everybody for the hard work you do. I want to thank you for the hard work that you do for your clients. And I want to wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'm going to encourage you to take on one thing this Thanksgiving, which is to express your gratitude to your team, express your gratitude to your family, express gratitude to those around you that matter to you, and let them know that you really appreciate them. And that will create a fantastic Thanksgiving experience for you all. With that, I'm good for today. Thank you for all of your work, Susan, and thank you for attending today's webinar.